the local elected officials. One is that were you or other board members aware that there had been material changes in the application from the time it was submitted to the time the board was voting on it in February?
And by that you mean that people had withdrawn their support? Yes, I was very aware of it. In fact, we had a memo from Superintendent Farmer that was in the board book. We also heard at the board meeting from, I believe she's a member of the school committee, Beverly Gilman, who talked about the 4 entities, Sea Arts, Montserrat College, Leslie, and the city councilor who have withdrawn their support.
Another concern that has been expressed to us is that the financial information regarding the Gloucester Public Schools was not considered by the board. Could you address what role, if any, the net school spending and other financial information for the schools played in the decision-making process?
I'm not sure that I actually don't remember it not being distributed to the board, so I need to be honest about that. But given that that's the question I'm being asked, it's not typically part of the decision of whether or not a charter gets authored.
Excuse me, we'd like to be respectful to the speakers. Thank you very much. Are there any further questions? Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
I'd like to now recognize Mitchell Chester, the Commissioner of Elementary and Secondary Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Waltz, Chairman O'Leary, Representative Ferrante, Senator Tarr, Representative Benson, Mayor Kirk, School Committee Chairman Verga, School Committee members, Superintendent Farmer, and representatives of the citizenry of Gloucester. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to testify before your committee this evening. For the record, my name is Mitchell Chester. I am the Commissioner of the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Have we given copies of testimony to the panel? Okay. Charter schools are one of the most controversial topics in education here in Massachusetts. I know that questions have been raised concerning the process by which the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education awarded a charter last February to the Gloucester Community Arts Charter School. I hope I'll be able to answer those questions tonight. I am also here tonight to listen to the comments and suggestions that will be offered by the speakers who follow me. Although I believe we have a very good process for awarding charters, I'm always open to criticism and suggestions for improvement. So I will be here for the whole evening and look forward to the rest of the testimony. And I need to say to the community of Gloucester, I've been very struck by the passion and the concern of the citizens in Gloucester for your public schools. I did put a substantial amount of thought and deliberation into my recommendation to the board. Ultimately, my recommendation was based on my judgment of the merits of the proposal and should not be taken in any way to reflect a negative view of the Gloucester schools. Now, let me just review quickly for the panel the process for approving charters. Charter schools in Massachusetts were initially created as part of the 1993 Education Reform Law. Massachusetts has only one charter authorizer, and that is the State Board. Our process for evaluating and approving charter applications is both rigorous and extensive. It takes about a year from the time we first hold information sessions for prospective applicants in the spring to the board's final votes the following February. The department has developed extensive criteria for the evaluation of both preliminary and final applications. Submissions are reviewed by our staff and by experts from outside the department. We hold public hearings across the state. We solicit comment from the school committees and superintendents in the affected districts, and we conduct interviews with all the finalists. At the conclusion of the process, it's my responsibility as commissioner to submit a report and a recommendation to the board for their review and final decision. The objective of the charter application review process is to award charters to applicants who show the greatest probability of creating public schools of the highest quality. There is no simple test that we can apply that will conclusively prove that a school that does not yet even exist will be successful. I base my recommendation, and the board bases its decision, on as much evidence as we can find, but ultimately, the decision to award a charter is a judgment call on which reasonable people can disagree. The rigor and quality of our charter authorizing process have been recognized nationally. In 2007, the U.S. Department of Education issued a report on quality charter authorizing practices. The Massachusetts Board of Education was one of 8 charter authorizers out of hundreds nationally spotlighted in that report. The data show the selectiveness of our process. In the past 5 years, we have received 49 preliminary applications for new charter schools. Of these, 21 were invited to submit final applications, and only 10 were ultimately awarded charters. I would now like to address several specific questions that have been raised regarding our review of the Gloucester Community Arts Charter Schools application. First, to the issue of the public hearing in Gloucester. Questions have been raised regarding the public hearing held in Gloucester last December. It has been the board's practice to have a board member attend public hearings on charter school applications. The regulations provide, and I quote, "The board and the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education shall hold a public hearing on final applications and solicit and review comments on the application from the school committees of the school districts from which the applicant intends to draw students. At least one member of the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education shall attend public hearings soliciting comment on the merits of pending applications." End quote. While the regulation calls for a public hearing on final applications, the board and department held a total of 3 public hearings on the 2009 charter applications and solicited comments at each of those hearings regarding all of the pending applications. Board members attended 2 of the 3 hearings. The hearing in Gloucester was originally scheduled for December 1st. At the request of the district for more time to prepare, the hearing was rescheduled to December 11th. Shortly before the hearing date, we found that scheduling conflicts would make it impossible for any member of the board to attend the hearing on the 11th. I decided not to make another late change to the scheduled date, which would have inconvenienced many of those in the community who planned to attend. We did, however, take steps to ensure proper procedure, as well as a full airing of the comments and their transmittal to every member of the board. First, I asked Associate Commissioner Jeff Wilson to preside at this December 11th hearing as my designee. Second, the board voted to waive the procedural requirement in its regulation with respect to attendance by a board member at the 3rd public hearing. A waiver vote was not even necessary because the regulation could be satisfied by holding a single public hearing on all pending charter applications with 1 board member present. Even so, I brought this to the board for a vote to ensure procedural compliance. Third, a summary of the testimony at the December 11th hearing was made available to all board members who also had the opportunity to review tapes of the complete hearing. And then fourth, we ensured that community members and others concerned about the Gloucester application had ample opportunity to present their views directly to the board and to me. Besides receiving numerous letters and emails, the full board heard testimony concerning this charter application from 14 different people during the public comment periods at the board's meetings in December, January, and February. In short, the board was very well informed about the opinions in the community regarding the Gloucester applications, and these comments were the subject of discussion by board members at the February meeting. Board members received and carefully considered all of the comments. It has been accurately noted that the majority of those who spoke at the Gloucester public hearing were opposed to the school's application. The purpose of the public hearings is to allow local school and municipal officials, parents, and other members of the public to comment on the application and on the need for the charter school. The comments from the public also help to inform the subsequent interviews that the department conducts with applicants. It would be inconsistent with the statutory framework for the department or the board to reject a charter application solely based on opposition. Second issue that's been brought up is the petition concerning the proposed charter. Another question concerns the reference to the school's application to a 400-signature petition supporting the proposed school. The school did not submit, nor did we request, the complete petition. We have found from experience that such petitions are difficult to validate. It is easy for parents to say that they support a school, but the real question is whether those parents will actually enroll their children. For these reasons, my recommendation was to the board was in no way influenced by this petition. I want to speak to funding concerns. The largest group of comments by far that board members received and that I received concerns the tuition payments to the new school and the effect of these payments on the Gloucester School District. The current funding formula was adopted